Good morning and Shabbat Shalom. This week's opening verse of the Torah portion Chayei Sarah talks about the passing of Sarah, the first matriarch of the Jewish nation. And the verse says, this was the lifespan of Sarah, 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. And it discusses Sarah's passing at the age of 127. And Rashi is bothered by the question, why does the verse say that Sarah lived 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years? Why not just say 127 years? And Rashi answers famously that the Torah is teaching us that at 100, Sarah was like as 20. And at 20, she was like as 7. In our tradition, you're forgiven for your sins up until the age of 20. So at 100, she was as sinless as the age of 20. And at 20, she was as innocent as the age of a 7-year-old. And the question is, what is the message to each and every one of us in our lives about this opening passage? And perhaps the Torah is teaching us a very important lesson, suggests Rabbi Soloveitchik. And that is that every person goes through different stages in life. Life is all about transitioning from one stage to the other. There's childhood, then you have your teenage years, then you have your years of, becoming a young adult, and you get married, then you raise your children, then you come to middle life, then you marry off your children, then you have grandchildren. There's many stages to life. But here's the key to a successful life. You see, sometimes, let's say as a child, what are children known for? Innocence, curiosity, enthusiasm for everything, passion. But then when we get older, sometimes we become a little bit cynical, we lose our innocence, we lose our curiosity, we stop asking so many questions. What is the teenage years known for? All our dreams, our big ambitions. And then we come to the next stage when we get married, we start questioning what our values are, what do we want to teach our children. Every stage of life brings a different shift in mindset and in attitude. But the key to a successful life is that when you go from one stage to the other, take all the other stages of life with you. Don't just go to the next stage and change your perspective. Take the innocence of childhood, the exuberance of childhood, the curiosity of childhood. Take the passion and the dreams of being a teenager that you're going to change the world. And then when you become a young adult and you get married and you're going to have a desire to build a beautiful family and you're so devoted to your wife and children. And as you go through one stage of the other, don't lose what you've gained and learned and developed in the previous stage. It's sort of like music. Each stage of life is another note in the ballad of life. But if you only play one note at a time, that doesn't create a beautiful symphony. And symphony is when you integrate all the musical notes together. Then you have harmony. Then you have a beautiful composition. And the beauty of life is when, as we get older and older, we hold on to all the other stages. And we integrate all the music and all the notes of the different stages of life. And then we create a masterpiece, a musical composition of life with stunning beauty and exquisite brilliance. Last week, of course, we had the midterm elections. And one of the candidates who ran was for governor of Pennsylvania, a Jewish fellow by the name of Shapiro. And he happened to be running against somebody who had anti-Semitic ties. And he did something that I don't know if any other Jewish candidate has ever done before. And that is, he brought his Jewish identity into his campaign. He ran ads in the newspapers in Pennsylvania showing him and his family sitting around the Shabbat dinner table with the challah, the wine on the table. And the ad said, Josh Shapiro makes sure to get home in time for Shabbat with his family. He talked about the values he teaches his kids by sending them to a Jewish day school. He did not separate his political ambitions from his Jewish life and Jewish identity. That's what it means to integrate and be wholesome and to connect all the parts of your life into one beautiful ballad. Have a wonderful Shabbat.